On July 8, 1497, Vasco da Gama led a fleet of 4 ships with a crew of 170 men from Lisbon. The distance traveled in the journey around Africa to India and back was greater than the length of the equator. The navigators included Portugal's most experienced. It's not known for certain how many people were in each ship's crew, but approximately 55 returned and 2 ships were lost. And why? Why did they do the trip? Pepper. Pepper. At the time, pepper was, you would say, worth its weight in gold, and despite losing 2 ships and 2/3 of the crew, the voyage was considered wildly successful. They brought back small amounts of pepper, which then inspired them to go again, right? So pepper has been the spice of kings for a very long time. Pepper was so valuable that it was often used as collateral or even currency. The taste for pepper, or the appreciation of its monetary value, was passed on to those who would see Rome fall. Alaric, the king of the Visigoths, included 3,000 pounds of pepper as part of the ransom he demanded from Rome when he besieged the city in the 5th century. Right, so what did you want? Pepper. Highly, at the time, highly sought out, highly valuable, most likely the first spice really ever used, which is pretty cool on pepper. So as a price comparison in terms of the value of pepper in the ancient Roman Empire, so long pepper, this was around 77 CE, long pepper is 15 denarii per pound. White pepper was 7 and black pepper was 4. So black pepper was 4 denarii per pound. And to put that into perspective, soldiers of the Rhine army who rose against Tiberius were paid 10 asses a day, out of which they had to pay, among other things, for their own uniforms. They demanded to be paid a denarii a day, and they got it. So black pepper was 4 denarii a pound, and soldiers got paid a denarii a day. So almost a week's wages for a pound of pepper. Now, throughout history, over time, as trade routes improved, volume increased, the cost of pepper did go down, but the use of pepper goes back to more than 2000 BC, where peppercorn was found, where's it at? Found in some of the ancient Egyptian burial rituals they used for the kings. They used pepper for that. So pepper itself is technically antimicrobial, antifungal, and prebiotic. So it makes an excellent seasoning, and they say the use of preservation of foods, it's I've seen mixed on that. Was pepper used as a preservative? Was it so valuable and expensive because they didn't have refrigeration, so rotten meat was common, and you put enough pepper on it might help preserve it or improve the flavor? That seemed mixed. Pepper does have preservation powers, not as good as salt in terms of preserving meat, and given its high cost, it was a king's treat to have pepper. Certainly the king could afford fresh meat, so there is some debate logically whether pepper was actually popular because of its preservation abilities, or was it really just because it was the first spice, right? First you get tired of eating mutton every day, you throw a little pepper on it, and it makes it just that much better, right? Pepper was highly sought out, highly valuable. So pepper is native to the Malabar coast of India, and the Malabar pepper is extensively cultivated there and in other tropical regions. Ground, dried, and cooked, peppercorns have been used since antiquity, both for flavor and as a traditional medicine. Most traded spice, and it's still the top, I think 20% of all spices traded is pepper, so it's still one of the top spices and has been for a long time. Get some more information here. So current production in 2020, Vietnam was the world's largest producer and exporter of black peppercorns, producing 270,000 tons, or 36% of the world's total So 20% of all spice is pepper, and 36% of that right now is currently produced in Vietnam. So nutritional information, there is some nutritional information in pepper beyond just tasting great on meats. So 1 tablespoon, 6 grams of ground black pepper contain moderate amounts of vitamin K, iron, manganese with trace amounts of other essential nutrients, protein, and dietary fibers. So there is some nutritional value, some ability to preserve, so not as good as salt. But certainly there was a time in history where people traveled great distances for small amounts of pepper. As said, the trip was equal to the distance of going around the equator and back. 2/3 of the people didn't make it. They lost half the ships. They got a small amount of pepper, and they're like, success, we'll do that one again. And they had a second voyage. So pepper, generally you're going to find at the store in 2 forms. You have peppercorn, which is you put in the grinder, and then you have your already pre-ground pepper. Pepper nowadays is so common, it is almost free in the sense that you go to any restaurant, diner, anything like that, you're going to have little packets of pepper at the tables. Now technically you got to eat there to get the pepper, so it's not entirely free, but it's so common, right? It's our ability to grow it, process it, cultivate it has increased. And perhaps someday, all right, you put your pepper in your preps, maybe someday again it will be worth its weight in gold. I don't know. I'm not saying get your 401k based on pepper. I imagine, and I don't even know that there is a shelf life on these, given that it is in itself antimicrobial, it is in itself a preservative. Yeah, I'm not really seeing a shelf life. I suspect it's going to last a very long time. This looks like it has about 2 years on the whole peppercorns, and I'm not seeing anything on the ground pepper. But just given that it is its own preservative, even though it's not as strong a preservative as something like salt, likely going to last a very long time. Said this has it at 2 years. I would think the unground would last longer, but I'm just speculating on that. So get some pepper, great spice, great history behind the spice, and appreciate that we live in a world where pepper is certainly affordable compared to what it used to be. So hope that helps out, right? Pepper definitely has a place in your long-term food storage pantry for the same reason it did back in the day, right? You know, coming from a time, 2000 BC, 1400s, where things like refrigeration and freezing wasn't an option. You know, you had food maybe that was slightly less than fresh, and somehow the pepper helped mask some of those flavors you might get. So it could have its value again someday in any kind of post-apocalyptic zombie apocalypse. You might look forward to a little bit of pepper on your steak. So I hope that helps out. As always, thank you for watching, and we appreciate you.